right, guys, I want to welcome you to the next episode of the Ghost City Tours podcast. If you've watched this before, you know my name's Tim. I got Stephanie over here. We got James and Aiden behind the camera. And today our guest, you look really familiar to me. I know I've seen you before, and I'm trying to figure this out. Patti Negri. Where have I seen you before? You look so familiar.
Yeah, here, there, everywhere. Television screens, film screens, podcasts, bathroom walls across America.
Oh, geez.
I'm probably most recognized from I've been working with Zach Bagans and the guys on Ghost Adventures for 10 years. I just hit the 10-year mark, basically 2 episodes a year for 10 years, which is pretty good for kind of a boy-oriented show. So that's people. But then half the world, the younger half of the world, knows me from my YouTubers. I work with Elton Castay, Matt Rive, the YouTuber world of things. So I'm doing that for not quite 10 years, but close to that. So here, there, and everywhere. I've my podcast, my books.
So you're keeping busy.
Yeah, I'm busy.
Well, I think for today's podcast, we might leave the bathroom walls off. Maybe we'll come back to that later.
I kind of want to know more about that, because that sounds like a really curious story.
But, I saw myself on a bathroom wall once. It was you know how sometimes like at clubs and things, they'll put posters up like who's appearing or something like that. So, I mean, I've literally been posted on a bathroom wall somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Well, see, that's better than what I had in mind. Because at first I was thinking, like, for a good time, call Patti. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
that's where everybody's mind goes. See, it's your mind.
Well, so it seems like you've been working with a lot of people. A lot of those names I actually recognize. Obviously, pretty much everybody who's listening to this is going to know who Zach and those guys are. Actually, I'm really appreciative of Zach. Zach did me a favor one time, and I'm still to this day very thankful for him for that.
He is a good guy.
Yeah, I think that, I've only met him twice. And like I said, one time he really did a favor. My daughter had a huge crush on him, and he kind of took some time to spend some time with her. And I thought that was very nice of him. But yeah, his reputation, there's definitely a duality there between public and everything else. But you also mentioned Matt, and if I'm correct, he's the guy who just bought the Warrens thing, right?
Him with Elton Castay. The other guy I run into, who's not as famous of a name as Matt Rife. He's TFIL on YouTube and Overnight. TFIL was their Adventurous Boys. Overnight is the #1 Pink Paranormal podcast.
Really?
And they work together. So real experienced, educated paranormal people. Matt is too, though people didn't know that side of him as well. They know what they're doing. I work with them. Again, Elton, Matt's partner, is the first endorsement in my book.
Oh, nice. Well, now that we've talked about all them, let's talk about you, Patti. So, you mentioned that, you're pretty well known as a psychic, somebody who works in this world. How did this even come about? Was it one of those stories where as a kid you started to realize some things were different, or was it something that grew as you got a little older?
No, I've always been this person. As a kid, I was talking to spirits since I could talk. I just knew it. And I think kids can. It just didn't get taught out of me. It wasn't like, ooh, that's evil, or that's your imaginary friend. No, my grandma could do that too. So even on my witchy side, which I'm equally famous for, it's like I would be in my little suburban Los Angeles backyard picking herbs and stuffing them in my mom's wallet and knowing what would give her more money and knowing what would be what. It's just in me. But it was my private life always. I'm an LA girl. I'm a Hollywood girl. I was a dancer. I was an actor. When I got too old for Hollywood, I became a producer, ran a production company. So I kept this world really quiet. It was my private world, the psychic medium, known for seances privately. But in 2008, when the big economic hit, my production company, I produced big corporate shows. And 2008, corporate entertainment just crashed and burned. And at the same time, reality TV was going up, 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 up. And somebody who knew my abilities, both as a psychic medium and whatever, and my camera expertise on both sides, said, Patti, we need you to do one of your seances on our reality show. I'm like, oh no, thank you. I appreciate that, but that's my private world, because my corporate clients like Microsoft and Union Bank and Bank of America can't know that I talk to dead people on one hand and I dance around bonfires in a cloak in the other hand. We keep that.
Right.
And she's like, please, we don't have anybody else. We know what you could do. And I'm like, no. And I'm looking at my empty calendar like, no. Well, I'm like, well, what's the name of the show? And literally she goes, with a straight face. She goes, well, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television.
What?
I'm like, exactly. I'm like, who would watch that? Nobody I know would watch Mobile Home Disaster. Little did I know everybody would watch.
4 people in Alabama that would watch it. Yeah.
But I go, okay, I could do this one. I went, and it was like the most fulfilling thing. I was able to help this human little girl who everybody thought was crazy because she was drawing portals on the ceiling of her motorhome. I'm like, no, there are portals on the ceiling of the motorhome. I got to help a spirit cross over that was sort of stuck because of this. And best of all, almost, I got to slightly open the minds of the Southern Bible Belt cast and crew that this is a devil or of the devil, like that. And I was like, oh my God, this was the best, most fulfilling day, better than all this stuff. But I'm never going to do it again. I'm not. So when it aired a couple months later, I was like, wow, that looks good. I know how to do camera. This is good. And, but never again. My very first phone call that next morning was my biggest national corporate client. Hi, Patti. Hi. I saw you on television last night. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were into the paranormal. Yeah.
Right.
And she goes, oh, paranormal. And proceeded to tell me the biggest ghost story. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm out of the broom closet. I'm out of the psychic medium closet. This is who I am. And I haven't looked back. I don't even have time to do my production company anymore.
Well, I think the whole paranormal community owns, people like you and, the guys at Ghost Adventures, the Taps guy, like all these people who have brought a little bit of legitimacy to what's going on here, because for so long, everybody almost had to be that closeted version of themselves. Like you talked about. I'm not just talking about psychics. I'm just talking about normal guys like me. Like, when I was a teenager and I'd say like I saw a ghost, I would be laughed out of the room. Now I have a whole company about it. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
And if it wasn't for all of you, taking that chance, like, cause it was a big chance, they could have came back and said, Patti, like, we're done.
Yeah.
So I am very thankful for you guys for being those brave people that took those first few steps to really help legitimize what is going on with the paranormal, because it's legitimate. Whether you believe it or not, it's real.
It's real. And science is catching up with spiritual. That's what I love, because with quantum science and all that. So like forever, I'm around a seance table, or I'm doing a gallery of 1,200 people, and I might be going, oh, wow, there is a ghost in the back and he's doing jumping jacks and punching his right hand. Believe me or you don't believe me, whatever. But now there's a guy or a gal with a SLS camera in the other room who can't see or hear me, and there's a little green stick figure doing jumping jacks and pumping their right hand. It's like confirmation, same thing. Right. I'll say he said Fred, and then the spirit box will say he said Fred. I love that the science and spiritual magical words are crashing.
Yeah, there's a podcast out there now, and it's actually one of the most popular podcasts out there. You guys might have seen it. It's called Diary of a CEO.
No,
it's a very popular podcast. And just the other day he had a guest, and I'm totally going to mess this up, but this guy was essentially saying there is way more to reality than we realize. And through, evolution and everything, we've essentially trained ourselves to ignore 99% of the things that are going on around us. Yep. And this guy who's a big time podcast host actually told him like, I think this is my theory on ghosts. And, kind of what you're just getting into, Patti, the idea of science catching up. He started listing off, all these different things. And it actually made me like proud. I'm like, oh my God, this is actually going mainstream now. The idea that ghosts are real, because they are.
They are.
Yeah.
He listened to you?
No. I was listening to that podcast.
Oh, okay. I thought he like you gave the advice on it.
No, keep up.
Okay, never
keep
mind.
Up, Stephanie.
Sorry.
It's okay. So when all this started happening for you, the psychic part of it, like what is a psychic? Because one of my problems with psychics, and we touched on this briefly before we went on air, is I do believe that there are people that have this ability, but I also believe the vast majority of the people who claim this ability either don't have it at all, or it's just some like an inkling of somebody who is truly a psychic. So, and I also think a lot of people confuse psychics and mediums, or is there a difference? Like, can you help us understand what that's all about?
I can. In my experience, yes, this is the worst industry. There are more fake psychics and bad psychics. Gifted, absolutely not gifted, but they're not really there to help you. They're there to control you or get your money or get more money. It's the worst profession out there, actually. The difference of a psychic and a medium. A psychic is somebody who can kind of see into the probable, possible future, and often and the past. Like, I don't believe anybody, unless you were some almighty creator, alien, God, whatever, can say this is going to happen, because we have free will. And I don't think anything is written in stone. I could say, you know, a bird's going to poop on your head when you walk outside, and you could choose not to walk outside and it won't. If I warn you, that's how, as a psychic, I would say, be careful of birds pooping on your head when you walk outside. So to me, a good psychic is somebody who gives you options and possibilities and the reason that you're in the situation you are in. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not going to, is Bobby going to do this? Am I going to win the lottery? Again, my witch side completely overshadows my psychic, because my witch side going, what outcome do you want? Let's move reality. Let's change reality. That's what
I'm going to send you a list. I have a lot of things I want to change.
And that's why I started a school, and we could do that. A manifest,
right.
Whether you call it manifestation or spellcraft it or wishcraft, whatever. So that's what a psychic is. A medium is someone who could talk to the other side. We could talk to dead grandma and grandpa. Not all people who have psychic ability or intuit are mediums. I think everybody who's developed their mediumship has the psychic ability too. But I still think no matter how naturally gifted you are, you sort of have to know what you're doing, because people are vulnerable when they come to you. They're coming to you not because life is good and everything. They're coming to you with real issues. So you take it be responsible for it. But that's what the difference is, because it's, you know, look for reviews for people, check it out, get real recommendations. And as soon as if you're out there with a psychic, if somebody leaves you leaving unempowered or afraid or under their control, never go back. They should leave you empowered. I can take care of this myself. And here's my different options that I can try. So that's what it is. And my witchy side is the one like, let's make the wind blow this way instead of this way. So then with the smoke from the fire, we'll go over there.
That's another very valuable skill I wish I had. If you knew how many boxes I burn at my property because they don't have recycling. And yeah, I wish I could always, if Patti, if you're the one that's always making that smoke go right in my damn living room window, I'm going to be so upset, because I wish I could be like, all right, go the other way. It just never listens to me.
Have you tried it, really telling it with conviction and belief that it will blow the other way?
No, I've never done it with most things in life. I don't believe I can do. So
okay, then you can.
Like
you'll never surpass mind, body, spirit, basic psychology 101. In witchcraft, we call it creation, working, dispatch, mind, body. You'll never surpass your own belief system. If you don't think you can move that smoke, you can't. You don't think you can climb that mountain, you never will. The person who thinks they can conquer the world is the person that does. Mind, body, you got to get off the couch, take action, step into it. Spirit, that's the part that's less tangible that people don't quite get. Spirit is the battery that makes something happen. You can do it through traditional, go to church, go to temple. Prayer is faith. You could do new age, vision boards, affirmations. You could do it, herbs and oils and spells and candles. Oh my. But each of you could look at everything you've accomplished in your life, and a lot. You have this company. You've believed you could do it and that you deserved it. You've gotten off the couch and taken action toward it, and you had some faith or belief or magic attached to it. The stuff you haven't quite accomplished, just one or two of those things need tweaking. You don't really believe it, that you can do it or deserve it, or you haven't taken the action, or you don't have the little bit of magic and faith behind it. You do it, you tweak it, and you get it. That's magic in a nutshell.
Yeah, I could definitely use some of that.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy, and then I think if you break it down into something much more simple like that, like those 3 steps, it's much more achievable.
It is.
So believe it, move the smoke, you know.
I'm going to give it a shot. I really am.
And then you turn your fan on going, no, which sometimes those are tools. You've had the fan. But no, I mean, I've never tried doing weather, because weather's fine where I live, but you see people who can. And again, that's where science is catching up. There's people we use what, 10% of our brain or something like that. What the heck is in that other 90%? Whatever your belief system.
Well, even when you're talking about being a psychic, you know, having some insight into the future, and I still have not exactly wrapped my brain around the entire context of this, but there are people that are studying quantum physics and these other sciences that are suggesting the future's already happened. Like everything that is going to happen has already happened, and let's just assume maybe that's true. So maybe it is possible, and you're demonstrating that it is, but maybe that's where these things are coming from. Maybe you're able to tap into that once again, I know I'm making a lot
Like
of
another
assumptions
dimension?
here. Yeah, like maybe you can see into the future because the future is already happening. If these quantum physics guys are right, that is. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things it could be.
What I say, I'm not a quantum physics scientist, but me living on, because there's our side of the veil and the other side of the veil, whatever. This world, we are corporeal, solid, gravity driven, whatever, 3-dimensional. The other side is the everything else. In my experience, the everything else, there is no time and space. So that's why you could go to a past life regression. We could look into the future of probability. Again, that free will thing is always a little nail in the thing. Probability of where you're going to look next week, next month, next year. Again, if you don't like it, my witch side will go, then change it. Don't take that path. Take this path. This path will probably lead you here. But if there's no time and space, then of course, future, past, it's all
the same.
Kind of like the Matrix.
It's a big time stew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trademarking that. Time
Stew.
stew. I know somebody's going to use that. Everything just mixed together.
Pangea. That's my word.
and all that's different from mediumship, because you said with mediumship, that's more of you are talking to people who are just not here physically with us right now, right? That's the idea of,
Yes, deceased, what I call ghosts or deceased people. They were living. I don't think they're stuck. Maybe people cross them over. Why do you want to? They are crossed over. They're fine. There's no time and space. I believe you could be the ghost at the house watching the grandkids grow up and beyond the pearly gates, if that's what you believed in, and you're reincarnated as the baby in the next door. If there's no time and space, you can. I do believe some spirits get stuck. I call those shades, and those are the ones. Go to the light, Carol Ann, go to the light. But 99% are not, unless they're being held down by something like the egregore at the Cecil Hotel or something. There is the Black Dahlia house. That spirit is holding girls in that house. But as a rule, most spirits, even at the prison yard, they're hanging out because that's the life they knew. They're not being tortured anymore. That's what they knew.
Yeah, I think they can do whatever they want for the most part too. Even this idea that's like, there's a ghost in your house, and that has to always be where that specific ghost is. You hear that a lot, right? That's not true at all. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the afterlife and how this all works.
Again, talking to the other side, I think, yes, ghosts, but you could also talk to ancestors would be ghosts, but your spirit guides, your animal guides, you're getting to the other realms out there, angelic realm, demonic realm,
Right.
Nature realm, ascended master realm. There's a lot on the other side of that little fence.
Well, do you have a spirit guide?
I have a team and I never divide them up. Because I've been doing this so long. I know a lot of people, really good mediums and stuff, like, oh, it's my spirit guide Henrietta that guides me through this, or that, oh, it's Archangel Michael, or it's, whoever, whatever. I'm like, I just want the information. Sometimes I'm just tapping into the information, like the great unknown, Akashic Records. But I have this little committee. It's like, okay, Uncle Bob figured out with Grandma, with some tree spirit somewhere, and my fairy realm brought in the music. I just want the answer. I've been doing it so long. I'm a committee person. I work in groups, so I don't know. Fred told me that. And if I'm channeling, say I'm doing a seance or I'm doing a mediumship gallery, I just want the information. It doesn't, so long as I'm getting it from a good source. I just say high vibration. I don't want to go good or bad or good or evil, but you don't want the drunken ghost in front of the 7-Eleven who's saying who's your grandma, but you could tell the difference.
Yeah, I wish I had that ability. I think you may know my biological dad died when I was a little kid, and then over the last couple of years, all my grandparents passed away, and I was very close with all my grandparents. And there's still a lot of times where, because I moved away from home. I live in Louisiana now, but I grew up in Pennsylvania. So down here, like I have my son, I have my wife, but that's really it. And sometimes it gets lonely, and I'm like, man, I wish I could call up grandma or grandpa or whatever.
You can't.
And well, here's what I'm getting at. Like, so I am not a medium. I am not a psychic, but for whatever reason, if I get out a voice recorder, right, and I put a pair of headphones on where I can hear them through that, I have had many full conversations with these entities, these ghosts, these spirits, and to the point where people look at me like, "Oh, Tim, you're a medium," and I know I'm not. Like, but it's strange, and I'm kind of curious. Like when all this started happening for you, like how did you it just? I know you said you've always been this way, but when did you realize like, oh, I can actually talk to, you know, and I'm just making up, like, you know, grandma, grandpa, all these people. How did that come about for you?
I thought everybody could. I just thought that was the norm when I was a kid. I thought everybody had this friend and that friend and spirit
Right.
playmates, but you really can. And yes, the equipment helps. Again, that's what's bringing the science, whatever. But there's lots of techniques. What I would suggest you have to talk to your family, your grandparents and parents and all that, do a dumb supper. It's a backwards dinner. Or I'll tell you about that in a second. Or I have a technique called dream school. Put a glass of water. You know, all the magic they're discovering about water, how you can charge it. Like if you're angry by water, it freezes different. If you're happy, water is going to be the next healing, the next everything. Water is chargeable. It's 70% of our body. Put a glass of water by the side of your bed. I call it dream school. It's mind, body, spirit. I want to talk to grandma. I want to talk to whoever. Mind, you're setting it up. Body, you're taking action. You have this glass of water that's tapping. And the spirit is the intent you put behind it. You could communicate with them in dream time, or sometimes just downloads they will give you. You could really work on your gifts while you are asleep. In the morning, you throw the water out, find yourself journaling. You'll be surprised at what you say. But the other thing is a dumb supper. It's done lots of places. Witches do it on Halloween Eve because it's about celebrating the ancestors. But a lot of cultures, even like Christian cultures, you do it at or after 40 days of transition when somebody passes away. But it could be 40 years. So 40 days and have a dinner for them. You don't want to do it before. I won't contact somebody before 40 days because that's the transition. It's a planetary thing. It's literally, it's this planet to there. It's biblical, like Lent is 40 days, Jesus something for 40 days, Moses 40 days, Noah 40. It's from here to there. It's that transition you want to leave alone. But after 40 days, have a dinner for your relatives, set a place for them or a glass for them, have whoever you want there, the family, friends, but you have to do it backwards. Start with dessert. And then you have the main course. You end up in the super salad course. Talk about them, love, miss you, love, laugh, cry. Somewhere during the dinner, everybody goes silent and they will communicate with each of you to your own comfort level and own ability. Somebody might have a memory. Some might see an orb go by. Some might feel a touch on them. Then a couple minutes, then start talking again. And at the end of the dinner, again, let them really cut those cords of, it's not their dead meat suit. Now they're your spirit grandparents, not your deceased grandparents. You could have a better relationship with them.
Yeah. Like I know that that's possible because like I've done it, but not using any of that. Like I'm just, the voice recorder guy, right? Yeah. My wife was very close with her mom and dad, her mom especially, and her mom passed away about 3 years before I met her. And, after I got to know her a little bit, she would bring up her mom and, she's, a little bit emotional. I really miss my mom. I wish my mom would have got to meet you. And I go, well, she probably already has. And she goes, what do you mean? And, I did that. And I was like, as a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet we could probably get her to talk with us. And at first she wanted no part of it. She's like, I don't want any part of that. My mom's where she is. And that's great. But one night she was curious, like, okay, well, could we? And, I mean, I'd never known what her mom sounded like. And in my house, I have a pretty haunted house. And, it usually we can get voices with no problem. So every couple minutes I'd be like, all right, is this her? And she's like, no. And I'd take my headphones off. I'm like, is this her? She's like, no. But there was one time her face turned white, just instantly started crying, bawling. Like, oh my God, that's my mom. That's my mom and my mom. And like, I thought that was so important for her to understand, and unfortunately her dad just passed away about 2 months ago. And that was a whole other weird thing. Did I tell you about how I saw it? Like that was actually freaky. But yeah, it was a situation where, unfortunately he had passed and nobody realized that he had passed for about 10 days. And I was the one who walked into the house and, saw him. And what was really weird about it, not only was it shocking for what I saw, I had seen that room when my wife's name is Stephanie, not this one, a different one. But she had said, hey, my dad isn't answering his phone and all this stuff. I had this crystal clear vision. What was really weird for me was that it looked like he was covered with like a Native American blanket laying in bed. Now, when I got to the house, without going into too much detail, he was not wearing a Native American blanket, but because he was in a state of decomposition, there were a lot of those, colors. So it was not only shocking for what I saw, but in my head, I was like, holy crap. that is why I wanted to go to his house. That's why I was like, Stephanie, we should go check on him, because I had that in my head. Like it was so strange. Even like it's still replaying in my head. Like
this is how I would teach you mediumship. That's it. What you saw, you interpret it as a Native American blanket, which is a positive, magical, spiritual, wonderful thing that you were probably seeing this. So it's learning to translate. It's learning the language of spirit. So you're gifted, dude.
I mean, I'm not fishing for compliments here. I'm not like, oh no, I'm not, just so maybe you'll say it more. Like, I don't feel that I have any gift. I really don't.
Doesn't feel like anything.
Or like it's just like, they talk to me when I'm wearing headphones,
That's okay. That's your method. Some people like the clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient, claircognizant, clairgustance, or tech. They all are different ways how some see, smell, feel, taste. We put all this stuff, or tag. That's just divination. The headphone guy is a modern version of a Ouija board or pendulum or dowsing rods.
Right. I mean, we've been able to, at my house, it's a lot. And then honestly, for a couple of years. So Patti, Ghost City Tours, I know, like who we are through the podcast and everything, but we're a huge tour company, but we used to go on ghost hunts all the time. We would honestly take inspiration from, Zach, Aaron, all those guys, the ghost hunters guy. And we would try to go rent those locations out. So like Mansfield Reformatory. I mean, I've spent probably 3 months of my life at Bobby Mackey's off and on. Like we used to rent those places and we'd bring people in. And what all of a sudden started happening was now they're at my house, like we would, and I know they were because there's specific ones. Like there's this one guy, I know him as soon as he comes in the room, because every time he just goes, hey, just like that every time. I'm like, that's that guy. And I met him from, I think that was Mansfield, I think was where that one was. But I mean, I don't, sometimes I'm glad that I'm able to have that connection, but other times it's like, just stop, because then they start doing all kind of crazy stuff in your house, and eventually it wears you down a bit. And there was a point where we had to step away from doing those ghost hunts, because I believe, I hate throwing this word around, but I felt that we had ran into something demonic at a place called Old South Pittsburgh Hospital in Tennessee. And I mean, it was unlike anything I'd ever encountered before. It was violent. Like things would happen at my house that were not, I don't even like talking about them. Like it was not, and it was almost all in my head, to be honest. Like a lot of it was in my head.
Well, that's where the dark will get you, but you can control it, and you can. I have a haunted house. I've got at least two haunted dolls behind me. My house came with a ghost, this French artist woman. But I firmly believe, since I was 4, this is our realm of existence. They have to play by our rules. But most people don't know that. So when you see somebody going, they've allowed that to happen. Unless you have a severe mental imbalance or a severe, drug or alcohol problem, just like, no, hi, guy, you're fun sometimes. I'm in the paranormal, but not now. Don't visit, don't bother me and my wife and my family. Don't go away. And they really have to. Again, if you say it with that conviction and belief system. 99.9 it works, but people don't know, and then you get fearful or angry, and a low vibration spirit wants you to get fearful or angry. So you be like a parent or a teacher. Nope, my house, no. Be very authoritative.
See, I think what you're really doing here is giving Stephanie instructions on how to handle me, because 99% of the time, like I'm like, Stephanie, what are you doing? And you're like, no, I'm at home. You got to leave me alone. This is my personal space. You got to stay out of it.
No, the office ghost did follow me home one day.
Really?
And we had joked about it. Somehow someone was doing a talk to text one day and the name Ernie got in the chat somehow. We're like, well, I guess that's the ghost name. And, Ernie lives here now. And then like a few weeks later, I was up in the morning and I heard this humming, and it was really creepy. And then my dog was acting really weird, and I thought my husband was messing with the dog. And I'm like, it's 5 a.m. Why are you messing with the dog? And the dog was just spooked sitting on the bed. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, yeah, I'm like, it was the weird humming. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got to get outside.
Right.
And then we have not seen him since. So he's lost.
Tell him what to do. And working in the paranormal, like all of us do, you've got to do regular house clearings and stuff. There's a million ways to do it. Work within your belief system, work within your path or faith. I work very elementally, and you do. And you got to do warding. I have like a little, the little evil eye thing right here. I've got wards. I have little helm of awe sigils all over the place. because when you work in this world, you're going to call it in. You know, if you're some disembodied spirit walking by and they see your neighbor who's like, oh, they're a cranky old skeptic, and they see your next door neighbor and they're going, oh, they wouldn't believe me no matter what. They're asleep. They're a zombie. And then they get to your house and they, oh,
This is fun.
yeah, they can see me, sense me, tell me, user, whatever that is.
Talking about haunted things, behind you, you have all those dolls.
I do.
What's because you have a book coming out about dolls, right?
It's out. It's out. It got released
it's
last
out.
month. It's doing really well. It's called Doll
Nice.
Craft. This is how I combined my witchy and my paranormal world. I'm a doll girl. I have my whole life. If I turn my camera around, there is hundreds and hundreds of eyes staring at me. Mostly Barbie dolls. I've been collecting Barbie dolls since before I was born. None of my Barbies are haunted though. But I've being this witch and practicing and being in the paranormal, I've become a doll expert and haunted dolls. It became known to the public with Peggy the doll, and Zach Bagan's bringing me in to do a seance with Peggy the doll, and who's given 2 people heart attacks. And since my main doll right here, Belle in the burgundy right here, she was sent to me by a girl who this doll had made her sick for 3 years, made her hair fall out. She knew it was a beautiful old 100-year-old doll, but she saw me handling Peggy on TV. She was in Belgium. She goes, you could handle Belle. And I'm like, sure, send her to me. The stuff that happened from literally my first Facebook Live, 50,000 people watched me open this doll. Those aren't my people. They were like, this doll brought them in. But it was such a dark energy in that doll. Dark haunted dolls are not good. They'll make you sick. They'll drain your energy. Haunted dolls are good. You've got to find a higher vibration. But I banished it, and this beautiful little girl came out. So kind of the rest is history. She's my main girl. I just got a girl, which in the back over there in white, named Salem, because I got her in Salem. She wasn't haunted, but I'm calling a spirit into her. So in my book, I teach people, again, don't try not to get ripped off on Etsy or eBay, because if one seller has 900 guaranteed haunted dolls, they're a good storyteller, maybe. I teach you how to call in your own, whether you get it at a thrift store. And most importantly, the care and feeding of you have to, even when I got the dark spirit out, she drained people's energy horribly. So I would keep a little handful of the herb rue in her hand, and she didn't drain people. People put salt around. There's a million things you could do. And then the other half of my book is witchy. It's magical puppets, little dolls. Most people mistake them for voodoo dolls, but they're magical puppets you use for health and love and family, how to make them with the herbs and oil. So I got to bring my 2 worlds together with my love of dolls.
Yay. And the book's called Doll Craft? And I'm sure we could find that on Amazon or maybe Amazon, your website or
bookstore, A Witch's Guide to Puppet Magic and Haunted Dolls. Yeah, it's me and my Belle. So yeah, you can get it anywhere.
Well, without spilling too many details of the book, because we don't want people to go buy it, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about what a haunted doll is. And I probably have some of those misconceptions, because for a lot of people, you say haunted doll, they think of, Chucky, all those movies where the doll comes alive and starts killing people. So in your world, what is a haunted doll? Is it a doll that's possessed? Is it a doll that is a living on its own? Because there's can you help us get to the bottom of what a haunted doll actually is?
What a haunted doll, as a rule, again, a puppet is you're creating a spirit, not a haunted doll. I'm creating a spirit of love or money or health or find me a partner. It's called an egregore, a servitor. That's getting into what a haunted doll is. A disembodied spirit has come into your body. Say if you're a disembodied spirit, you're dead Henrietta or dead Fred, whatever that is, and you're looking for a vessel. They like vessels to hang out in. So you could go into a candle, a teapot, a toaster. I've seen the toaster, or something with eyes and a face and a nose and a mouth. What are you going to go into? Something with eyes and a face. People see my girls blink, move their face. They can always tell what mood they're in, and 3 people in a row do the same. You can't do that with this. So if you're a disembodied spirit, toaster, something with a face and eyes and nose. Easy choice.
So a haunted doll isn't necessarily bad.
No, a haunted doll, there's so many little scams out there, but more than not, honestly, most people are good. We're all quirky. We all have weird idiosyncrasies, but if you walk to a concert, you walk to a ball game, you walk to a mall, there might be a serial killer lost in there somewhere. But as a rule, they're good. And most disembodied spirits are good. And if they want to hang out and have a vessel, pick a nice little doll to go into it.
Well, I know that not all haunted dolls have such a great reputation. I know there's a couple out there like, Annabelle, Robert the doll. I mean, we can go on and on. So what do you think is going on when a doll has that negativity, I guess, attached to it? Like, how is it the same thing where like a negative? Because the way let's take Annabelle, for example, the way that I understand Annabelle is that there's a demonic energy like in the doll. Like, is that what it really is? Like, what's going on with those ones?
Yeah. So it can be certainly demonic, because if I'm not going to argue with Ed and Lorraine Warren on anything.
Right.
But again, demonic, angelic, high vibration, low vibration. And that's saying a non-human spirit came into it to me, or maybe something that was human spirit got so dark it went beyond the bounds of humanity. So yeah, I was at the Warren Paracon last year in Gettysburg, and I had my books, my old, and I was the only thing that separated me from everything in the Warren Museum and Annabelle was a curtain. And I'm putting up, nobody wanted to come to my table, even though we're all there for the paranormal. I had to put up so much warding and so much protection so it would keep it light and happy. I put up so much warding both about myself. Then later that night, when we moved our cocktail party over, I'm dancing with Annabelle and no issue because I put up my warding and protection. So again, you can. But I would not have an Annabelle in my house. I would, because this is your home, because you're always going to go, a negative spirit's going to go for the weakest thing, somebody ill, your children, your pets. I don't want that, that's why I banished what was in her. I had this one other thing in my house, and I'd had it for 2 years. It was given me by a client. And then I noticed, why am I not in my office? I love my little office. And I go, oh, it's you. So I actually called Zach Bagans and I said, do you want this? It's too dark for my house. I will not have this in my home. My home is to be my sanctuary. He said, show me a picture. Oh yeah, that's a nail fetish hate dog doll, whatever. So I brought it there.
Right.
The next day it started acting. It's in a perfect place. Nobody lives there. Nobody sleeps there. You know what you're getting into. But I would not have Annabelle in my house. I would not.
See, I actually tried. When a couple months ago, they kind of took Annabelle on tour, and one of the stops back then was New Orleans, and they used our store here in New Orleans as one of the stops. And I remember going to my wife, and I had talked to Dan and I think Tony, and I was like, is there a possibility you guys can like kind of swing by my house on your way out of town?
You asked if they could swing by the office, and we said we don't want that here.
Yeah,
we
but
don't.
I'm like,
we don't need it here.
So with Annabelle, like, there's a part of me, like, I don't want to discount anybody's experiences or anything like that with the doll, but there is a part of me, if I'm being honest, where I'm having a hard time believing that this doll and whatever is attached to it has done all these horrible things. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying that. I'm admitting I could be very wrong. It's just hard for me sometimes to put those pieces together.
You don't need to test it though.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily think that she did all of this. Anything's going to happen. She's going to get full credit now. And what we do in the magical world, the occult world, is there has been a spirit or an egregore bigger than her that's created. Our belief systems creates the reality of something. So that is going to empower that, whatever that thing is. Like a Ouija board was just, it's no different than a pendulum. But we, because of our belief system in Hollywood and everything, we made it into a negative. So now there is some negative connotations because we created that. You could get rid of them. You could release them as easy as putting them on. But we are giving Annabelle and whatever else the power.
Yeah, I totally am on board with that idea. I mean, when Annabelle, they had brought that doll into town, we had a situation where a plantation burned down outside of town. I mean, it wasn't even outside of town. It was like 3 hours from here. I think the next day, prisoners escaped from New Orleans. And of course, Annabelle got blamed for it. Like you just mentioned, imagine all these people giving power to this doll or in whatever entity or whatever's associated with it. You're giving it the power. And, unfortunately, even Ghost City, we took a lot of flack for that. The number of death threats I got personally, for real, because they were blaming me personally for the plantation burning down and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I don't think it's Annabelle as much as it just, maybe you shouldn't have left the prison door open, or with the plantation, the real story is they actually just ran out of water. they could, that's really what happened. They just ran out of water and couldn't put the fire out. So, you know, maybe it's not Annabelle. Maybe this is just Louisiana being 50th at everything again. You know, like
Right. I agree wholeheartedly.
and, you know, and then of course we had, you know, the unfortunate, you know, passing of Dan himself. And I even think that, honestly, I've never been more disgusted with the entire paranormal community, not the entire paranormal community, a large section of the paranormal community than I was in that instance, because, you know, I never met Dan, but, you know, I've talked to him numerous times. I thought he was a great guy, and the language and just honestly, it was, I almost just broke my no swearing rule. I almost did it. But it was absolutely disgusting. I mean, it really was. You know, people saying that's what he deserved and he knew what he's doing. You know, like, oh yeah, go read the comments. Like, it is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't comments like that.
Like,
no, he was the sweetest guy. I knew him.
Yeah.
I worked with him. I did investigation with Elton, Matt, and that whole group. I events with him. He was a sweet guy, and that's why I actually, because that's right when my book, I went from, you know, talking about that. Like, I'm pulling back a little bit. You know, I'm not going to connect the Annabelle stuff to this is why you read my book.
Right.
Since Dan's death. Before that, I would have, but you have to be careful.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate, and you know, I you know, obviously feel horrible that it happened. But I mean, I don't know if I should have been surprised by that, because I mean, you see, actually, you know what, Patti, that's something maybe I'd like to know your thoughts on. You know, the paranormal community, for all its strengths. Why do you think that this is one field that just has so much drama and nonsense and like everybody hating each other and I mean, why do you think this is going on in the paranormal community?
Because it's humans. We are flawed little creatures. It is not just in the paranormal community. It is in every community. It is in the witch community. We should be above all this. We are spiritual. It is in the Christian community. It is in the New Age woo-woo community. It is in the vampire community. We as humans are, one of our not best qualities is just that. Whether it's survival level or it's what, I make myself feel better by putting you down. It's sad. And in this sad time and zone, it's being fed. It's okay to be a bully. It's okay to be an idiot. It's okay to hate. And it's giving license to it. It's really sad. And things have gotten stronger. So I think we're going to get through it. I'm the internal optimist, and I think we're going to take a big switch with that. But we have to work at it. But I think honestly, it is not just it's probably happens in the quilter community or in the, you know, the book club.
Right.
It does. The chess club.
Yeah.
It does.
That's true. I mean, maybe I'm just seeing it because
because humans are flawed.
We are
and you
flawed.
Can't and that's just it. Like,
Speak
there's
for
always
yourself.
Yeah, Tim's perfect,
No,
but
no.
Patti, you and I are flawed.
No, I'm far from perfect. Well, you know, one of the things I always like to do with people, you know, especially, you know, individuals like you, who a lot of the people who recognize you and your name and what you do, you know, they know you as a certain person, right? The person that's on TV or through the books or whatever. But I'm really curious to know who's the real Patti that nobody gets to see. Like, you know, let's start with this. You know, who is one person, you know, you talk about being like a medium and all this stuff. Who is one person that you wish you could speak to that you just haven't been able to yet? Like, is there anybody?
Living or dead?
Dead.
Oh,
Uh-oh, I stumped you.
you stumped me because I'm like, oh, I talked to them already. I really think oh no, I talked to her.
Right.
Who that I haven't even attempted to, you know who, and it's because it's too personal to me, and it's not going to be, most of you won't even know who it is. It's somebody who is a dear friend, my friend Trevor Moore. He's a comedian. He was the Whitest Kids You Know talk, and then he still had a talk show that I was actually on with him, and then it was the bad accident and died way too young. And that was one of those deaths that affected me so strongly because it was such a switch. And I have been just too close, too personal to talk to him. And he's the one that I want to talk to. But again, most people watching this won't know who he is. But those of you who do, he was a good guy, Trevor Moore.
So the other thing that the other vision I had of you, mostly because of what you said earlier, you know, you being like outside in the garden, you know, working like what are you doing when you're not, you know, Patti the psychic, Patti the witch? Like what is that? What do you do?
I'm a Wiener Wrangler.
A what?
A Wiener Wrangler.
What?
I have a dachshund.
Oh, that is not what I
Okay.
thought. That was not what I thought. I was
That's probably more related to the bathroom wall comment.
No, I am a dachshund enthusiast. Well, racing is a strong word because she always goes the wrong way. And in circles, we have play dates in my backyard. My husband usually has to roll them. He's a drummer, so he's home in the day, has to run them. But with a little bit of free time, I want to be outdoors. I go up to Lake Hollywood every day, work out, walk, do weird little rituals around the orange cones and count the turtles and count the deers. And so I have to get in nature pretty much every day, but I don't, and then my dog is my life, but I don't have a lot of free time. I have my private clientele. I have my filming, both the regular TV filming and then the YouTube filming. I run a network called I don't run it. My partner Natalie runs it. I own a network called Paraflix. I have an international school called University Magicus, and I just left out my 3rd book. So I don't sleep a lot. Yeah. And my podcast. Now I have a 2nd podcast. I'm getting ready to start a 3rd podcast, my witching hour. So I don't have a lot of time in the garden, but I do have a lot of time outside. I'm going to go plant some sweet potatoes. So, because
oh my God, those are my favorite. I have sweet potatoes like twice a week.
I love
mostly Stephanie.
Those purple ones. Those purple.
Yeah.
Ones.
Those, and they're like,
those are good.
They kind of look like wieners. Those ones. Yeah. So how many dachshunds do you have?
I have one at a time. I actually used to, because again, my production company, like I said, I produce interactive, immersive stuff. And one of the ad agencies I worked for was running, you don't have them. There's a chain called Wiener Schnitzel, a hot dog chain, but it's only in the 7 Western states. And one of their promos was Wiener dog races. You'd go to store, and I hired to run them in the 7 Western states way back when, like literally 20 years ago. I was in the middle of nowhere, Texas, surrounded by 200 of these these are the funniest, smartest, stubbornest dogs I ever have. I must have one. I worked for that company for years and years running these races. And I, of course, had to get my own wiener dog. My first one, raced for 14 years, losing every race at Los Alamos. Proud. I can relate. There's movies out about it. It's a weird cult thing. So that's how the wiener thing happens. Just get me outdoors and get me with animals, and let me sleep a few hours a day. We're good. That would be the dream life. I have a huge reptile sanctuary where we care for endangered reptiles and ones that are on the verge of extinction. And I would love that's my happy place. It's just I have to deal with her crap all the time and her crap and the company and it kind of pulls you away from what you love, but it's still there. One of the things when I think about working, I tried to retire a couple months ago. Are you going to retire one day, Patti? Is this something that is this you, or is this something that one day maybe you want to do something different? Is there something you've always dreamed of doing that you haven't been able? Again, when I was young, I'm like, I want to be a nurse. Oh, that didn't work. That's boring. Hospital people are icky. And then I was an actor. I was a dancer. I danced with Gregory Hines. And then then I produced forever. So this, I just started this after 2008. No, I don't ever want to retire. I am the luckiest girl in the world. I get to travel the world, the haunted places. And then my big gig really is inspiring people. I want to let people know how amazing we are as humans and to take our power back. Because in working, whether one-on-one with clients or mediumship galleries and colleges I work with, it's like, take your power back. And you give your power away to fear, to other people, to limiting belief systems. So even if I'm on like Portals to Hell with Jack and Katrina, it's like about empowerment, bring that back, or with Zach and the guys. I think that's super important. Not to interrupt you. I was literally just having this conversation with 2 people earlier today because, my job here at the company, CEO, it's to build people up. And sometimes I look at people and I think it's like an epidemic, exactly what you just described, Patti. Like the world's missing its confidence. Like I talk to people, actually, I don't think I'm going to be giving too much away. There's been times where I've talked to Stephanie or Angelica, who you've seen on the podcast, and I'm looking at them like, oh my God, you are so smart and you have so much potential. I'm not saying you don't see it, but I think that I see more in you that you see. And there's times where I'm like, I really want to almost shake you and just be like, do you not realize how amazing you are? Like, just, you can do it.
And that's like, but that's society though. It feels like
Society.
humans
and
just,
more
yeah.
so, they've numbed us out. They want us phoned in, asleep at the wheel, by road, automatic pilot, all these things. No, you don't like what your relationship, switch it. You don't like your financial situation, switch it. You don't like your health situation. I was supposed to be dead years ago. Real health issues. My mom took a drug when she was pregnant. They give to women, to pregnant women, thinking it was a health drug. It wasn't. I was 6 and 16. By the time I was 30, they said I'd be dead by 50. Brain tumors. And I went, no, I'm not getting sick anymore. I have not been sick in decades. I was not dead at the time they told me to be dead. So instead I did the world's hardest obstacle course. I didn't wipe out. I was like, I want to prove I'm not dead. So I'm going to do wipeout.
So Patti, this is like your second act then of life, and kind of like the next one.
Fifth.
But what, or fourth or fifth, what do people though who you haven't seen in a while, what do they think when you see them again and you're like totally new Patti and like, but like authentic Patti? What is their reaction?
They just see that I'm happier, because I love my production company, but it was not as much fun. Okay, through a sketch comedy, whatever, we have to teach ethics to oilmen in middle of nowhere. It's like, okay, let's put together. This is just because I get to do what I do. Again, we get to go to fun haunted places. I get to go to castles in Romania. I get to go to Australia all the time. It's like, this is pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
And again, and with their allowing people to just, like I said, it's take your power back. You can do this. We get trained. So whether that's doing a really goofy, Bad Girls Club television show, or Basketball Wives, or something that looks silly, it's like they've like this little thread in their head going, oh, that doesn't seem hard, does it? Just like how to create what you want, mind, body, spirit. That's it. Easy as you allow it, or hard as you make it. And we were trained to make things hard.
Yeah. Well, let's make them easy.
Make them easy. Yeah.
Maybe. I think that's a perfect place to end. We've been going on for a little over an hour now, Patti, and I've actually had a lot of fun. Honestly, I was a little nervous. I was like, oh my God, is she going to like pick up on something on me, like psychically?
Read
and then
something.
Tim, I noticed last night, something. I'm like, don't say that.
Yeah,
but,
no. I have an
like,
on-off switch. I don't go to the grocery store and see somebody's dead mother or grandmother. When I was a little kid, that's what these gloves partially are. This is not a fashion statement. I work with my hands. If you see me on TV, I'm like, this. I don't. It makes the on that much better. On, woo! I see everything. Off, I'm just regular. I don't want to empathic. I don't want to take on your stress or your mother's headache or your this or that. So that's my saving grace. When you get fancy, you do it on a little bit of a dimmer switch. But no, I'm not going to give you. And I would not, even ethically, in my integrity, if somebody asks me something, I will give them the answer. If somebody doesn't ask me, I'm not going, hey, Stephanie, do you want to know something? No.
Right.
You haven't asked me. That's me getting into your karmic. Well, no.
See, you would not be able to trust me with that power, because I'd be like, Stephanie, guess what I know?
Guess what's happening later?
Well, Patti, where can people find out more about you and what you're doing and your new book? And where can they go?
Other than bathroom wall? No, PattiNegri.com. If you go to my website, it's just my name, PattiNegri.com. From there, you can get to my legitimate social media, Patti.Negri on Instagram, Patti Negri Psychic Media on Facebook. You can get to my school, University Magicus. You can get to Paraflix. You can get to episodes of my podcast, The Witching Hour, my Witches Movie Coven. So that's the best place to start. And then you can get to my YouTube, which has hundreds of millions of videos, magic lessons, and this, just free stuff. So PattiNegri.com. But then go to my social media, like me, follow me, say hi. I'm very active.
Yay. Well, I will definitely do that. I really do appreciate you coming on and not throwing some psychic knowledge at me. That was why it's like, oh God. I would love to have you back sometime. Maybe we can dive into some of these topics a little bit more. This was just, an introduction from you to our audience, and there's a lot I'd love to dive into more at a later time.
Anytime.
All right, Patti. Well, once again, I really appreciate you joining us, and until next time.
See you later. Thank
Bye,
you.
Patti. Thank you.
Yep,
Bye, guys.
Bye.
This episode was brought to you by Ghost City Tours, your guide to the haunted side of history in over 25 cities nationwide. From restless spirits to unsolved mysteries, our tours bring the dead back to life. Book now for a haunted city near you at ghostcitytours.com.